Hey guys, JH. And as usual guys, the sun is always shining until I get here. As soon as I get here, clouds come out and starts to rain. Almost, it's just extraordinary, extraordinary. If I come here 20 times, this will happen 10 times. Not a cloud in the sky, within 10 minutes a cloud's over. Maybe there's something, maybe there's a message there. Okay guys, today I just want to do this video, and I'm just going to call it elementary tips. And what I mean by that is that, you know, some people have been asking about different things. Now, things happen in the golf swing, guys, usually because of structured geometry. You never see a, you know, the Iron Byron or the Mr. Ping robot when it's hitting shots. You never see it hitting anything but perfect shots, and every shot is right in the middle of the golf club. Now, why does that happen? It happens because the structure of the robot is consistent. It has a base there, it has a pivot arm, and it has what we call a radius lock. The movement of the golf club, once it's clamped in the robot's arm, never changes its configuration in terms of its geometry. Its radius is locked. If this is the robot here, that process there and that radius and the distance there from here to there will always be the same. The structure of the robot here, the main body of it, will always be in this position. It will never move backwards or forwards. It'll never move upwards or downwards or forwards and backwards. It won't do any of that. But we do, because we don't have that structure. And what that causes, guys, is the variety of mishits that we get when we're hitting shots. If we hit the ball fat, invariably, you know, the club is going in. If we're here at address and we took the club back and we didn't change that radius, we should always hit the ball exactly the same as that, because the radius is constant. Now, if I take the club back here and I move this pivot point back to here and I keep it back there, and that pivot point is now gone from here to here, the club's going to enter the ground there because the pivot point's moved back, or the rotational axis point has moved back. So lesson one is, we don't want to move that rotational pivot point. We want to fix that there, and it stays there. If we move that point here back in the backswing, and it stays there, the club's going to hit the ground there. Conversely, if we take it back and we move the pivot point this way, very hard to get the club on the ball consistently in terms of radius. A good player can get away with that because what he will do is, if he moves forward like this, which a lot of them do, he moves forward like that, he will still keep his shoulders closed, and he'll still keep this angle on his wrist here, and he'll maintain his height when he hits it. So he can get away with some shaft lean. He can move that pivot point forward a little bit here and still make good contact, because he's not changing the radius lock. Even though he's gone this way a little bit, he's changed the pivot point, the radius lock is the same, or the rotational pivot point. But if he went here and then coming down, he stood up like that, jumped up a little bit, which the club player tends to do, and that's how you get the thin shot. He'll come in here, think, oh, I can't hit it, and he stands up and you get the thin shot. Now conversely, the same can happen if we're in this configuration here. And if we move this way too much, like we're standing here, if we put a plumb bob down there, that doesn't move, guys. There it is there. But if we, and just taking the club back, that pivot point doesn't change. But if we're here where we're radius locked, and in the backswing we move this way, we've moved this rotational pivot point. And then we're coming and we'll probably hit it off the toe because we're way inside the ball. Because we've changed the structure here, we've changed that rotational pivot point, or the fulcrum of the radius of the golf swing. We've changed that fulcrum. We've gone back here. Can't get to it now. And again, that can be a reason and a cause for a thin shot here. That can absolutely be that, because we come back here, we can't get to the ball. Now again, guys, the other side of that is on the backswing, if we take it away and we go here, change that fulcrum here and we move it out this way. The plumb bob moves this way. Here. So we've got up, down, backwards, forwards, backwards, rearwards, outwards. They're the 6 configurations that you can do in a golf swing that will affect where the club contacts the ball consistently. Now the good players have good consistency. They don't move that pivot point very much. As I say, the good player can get away with moving this way a little bit because he's going to stay in the shot when he hits. He's not going to come in here and think, wow, I can't release the club even. I've got all this angle here, I can't release it. The only way I can release it is if I stand up. Now you stand up, you'll hit it thin and may even hit it in the hosel of the golf club. So the point here, guys, is just work on just hitting some small shots, you know, half shots, whatever. You know, just get a wedge or a 9-iron or something like that. This is a 5-iron, so you wouldn't be doing it with a 5-iron. But just hit some shots where this doesn't move, guys. The fulcrum of the swing doesn't move. The rotational pivot point doesn't move that way, or rearwards or outwards or up or down. It doesn't do any of that. It just basically stays in position. Just hit some little... It doesn't move anywhere, guys. And just work on that. And when you try that, you'll find that is very difficult to do. And then you'll realise how much you do move either up and down, rearwards, outwards, backwards, forwards. You'll realise how much of that you do when you try and stay very, very centred in the golf swing. Very centred in the golf swing. Okay, so the whole point of that was, guys, try and keep your position in space constant. And you do that, guys, by balance. If you're too much on your toes here at address and you're hanging out in space, you'll tend to tip forward when you take the club back here. Then you've got to make an adjustment and get back here. Conversely, if you're too far back here, you'll get over here and you can't get out to the ball. The best way to have proper balance at address is, and Johnny Miller said it perfectly years and years ago. He said the perfect balance to him was that at address, he was into his legs and balanced so much that he just felt that when he was here, when his balance was right, he could just jump vertically up into the air, like that. Now, if your balance is wrong and it's back here, and you'll jump back here. Conversely, if it's tipped forward, you'll jump over here. So just work out how you need to be at address with your balance. Someone was going to throw you a medicine ball and you had to catch it. How would you stand? You'd stand like that. You stand balanced and supported. Guys, it's elementary biomechanics and body dynamics application. It really is. So that's a fundamental of geometry and body structure that can create all sorts of things. So basically try and get some balance and then try and hit some shots with that balance where you're not moving forwards and backwards can get some sun behind you and see your shadow, and just watch what's happening with the back of your neck or your head, which is that fulcrum point here. Guys, that's just a structural thing. And somebody asked the other day, said, I'm hitting thin shots and fat shots. Well, I'll bet you're moving excessively in one of those dimensions. No question about it. And you can just check that by just doing this. And if you stay still, that club should impact the ground in the same place every time. Now guys, this is something that I've always been never a supporter of, and that is a constant ball position for everyone. People say, you know, so many instructors over the years have said, oh, you play the ball off the left heel, blah, blah, blah. Well, Jack Nicklaus did that type of stuff. Well, that suited Jack Nicklaus. But everybody's different. Everybody's balance point's different. Their shoulder widths are different, arm lengths are different. Everything's different. I say the way to place the ball correctly is just have everything neutral. When you set up, when you take your address and your grip, I like to get here. I don't like to get here, and I don't like to get here. With the Bruin thing, you'll see me a little bit like that, but we're doing stuff, and that's not where I want to be. But in a traditional swing or any type of swing, I try and be body-centered. I try and be like that. I don't have a ball position, so I've got to line up to that ball position here. Don't do that. I just get my arms and set my body, have connection of my upper arms on the top of my chest, and I get in here, and then I hunker down here. That's where it is, guys. I just hunker down here. Now that's body-centered. Now hit some shots. Now if you feel comfortable doing that, and the best way to find out what is your optimum ball position is to just do this. Is just get that position here, or even if you want to be here, if you're more comfortable there, you may have that configuration. But whatever is comfortable for you, I just think geometry-wise, this is the most comfortable position to be in here, and the most balanced position, and the best biomechanically optimum position to be in, and that's here. Now, to know where your ball position is best for you, just do this, guys. Now have a look where that divot is. Now for me, it's right in the middle of my body. That's where it is. That's where it is. If it was up here, that's where I'd place the ball. If it was back here, that's where I'd place the ball. But it's not. For me, it's right there. It is right there. 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 Now do that for yourself. Get in some deep grass and have a look where your ball position is. Yours may be back, it may be up. It's what's the bottom of your arc. What's the best, the most optimum bottom of your arc. There's no specific ball position for everybody, guys. There just isn't. I just don't believe that. Everyone's different. Now for someone like me who plays the ball back a bit, and particularly in channel, I played a long way back. But if I was playing a conventional golf swing, and I had the ball back here, now that's a long way back for most people. But because I play with a little bit of shutdown club face at address, and I'm very much into out when I hit the ball, I start the ball right and it comes back with a little draw. Now if I don't have the club face shut down enough, it just gets a little push or a little block, which doesn't hurt me. If I'm aiming at a par 3, I'll be right side of the flag or right side of the green. I won't be off the green, unless I've got the face way open. And conversely, if you play the ball up here, then you might want to have the club face open. If you're playing it up here and you're swinging okay, but you're hitting the ball left, for a right-hander it's going left, it's pulling, just try the same swing but have the club face open more. So that you'll still be swinging on that arc there and the club will be releasing over here, but the club face won't be closed to the path. If your path is a little bit sort of out to in, or just across the ball a little bit, which most people who have a forward ball position do have that type of path attack, just open the club face a little bit. If the ball's just going over there, but it's still comfortable for you to have that position, just open the club face a little bit. Just keep opening it till you get it to go straight. The same with me. I just keep, closing it up or not closing it up depending on the amount of draw that I want consistently in the shot. So ball position, it's not, for me, there's no fundamental position where you should have a golf ball. To me, that's relative to the individual. Okay, now the other thing that can help any of us is try and cultivate with any golf swing, try and cultivate having your shoulders closed at address so that the club tracks into out. You can make a lot of mistakes in a golf swing that won't, very few mistakes you can make in a golf swing, or very few things you can do in a golf swing that won't create a huge problem. And that one thing for me is hitting into out all the time. If you can cultivate hitting into out all the time, you will get a consistent starting direction for the ball. And for me, it's a little push, and of course I work on how much push and how much movement I want on the ball by the club face, closure or open. And if I want to push the ball to the target, I'll just aim a little further left and still hit into out. But with the club face not closed as much, and it'll just push the ball to the target, which is a nice shot anyway. So we want to cultivate, no matter what golf swing we have, hitting into out as much as you can. And guys, let me tell you, I don't believe you can hit into out too much as a feeling. You can certainly not hit into out enough as a feeling, no question. But if you actually said, okay, I want to be, overly into out, and that would be for me, say that's our golf ball here. What I used to say to people was, okay, we'll do this here. I don't know if you can see this golf ball here. Can you see that golf ball there? Okay, now that's our ball. Our swing, if our attack line is here, the club should feel like it's going to that ball there as a feeling. It should feel like it's going there as a feeling. Now if you do actually achieve that and you have a massive amount of into out, I have about 8 or 9 degrees into out, but say you had 20 degrees or 25 and the ball was really starting out to the right. One of two things, you could play with that, but you could shut the face down and you hit a push sling draw, which a lot of people, Fuzzy Zoeller hit that shot his whole life and he won a Masters in the US Open with that shot. The Australian player, Stuart Ginn, played with Stuart in Pro-Ams, and he used to start the ball out there. And he was so into out, but it was the same shot every time. So if you can cultivate overdoing into out, I think that's a good thing. Not having enough into out can create more problems than having too much into out. So if you can just hit some shots where you say, okay, I'm going to really keep my shoulders closed, and there's an out of bounds fence right there, it's about 15 yards away. Now, I could actually get here and say, okay, what I want to do is I want to fire the club head out towards that out of bounds fence, but I'm going to release the club over the ball, and the ball's going to start right, but it's going to come back in. And yesterday I was doing a demo from a buddy here yesterday, and we had some really strong left to right wind here across that out of bounds fence. And I said, look, what I'll do is I'll start the ball outside that out of bounds fence and draw it back into the wind. And I started about 10 yards outside the out of bounds fence with a 5-iron, out to the out, and then drew it back into the wind. And that's because I was overdoing the into out. Don't rain. I was actually doing that, really rotating it, hitting into out and really rotating it. And then I was having a look at my divot or the path in the ground, and it was probably 20 degrees, 23, 24 degrees into out. But I was still getting a hard push slinger. Nice shot. So the point here, guys, just over accentuate. Feel this. I'm not going to hit a shot because I'll probably hit it straight through the camera. But feel that. Feel that the club's going there. There. While this is still closed. Here. Oh. Hit some shots like that. Get that lead knee supported there. Hit some shots like that. Just hit a couple of... You don't have to hit full shots to get the feeling of that. Just set up here. Get in that position. Lock that shoulder down. And really hit into out. Now there, I hit that down that out of bounds fence and it's come back in. And that's just a little half shot. But that felt like the club was going towards the camera. So the point here, guys, is you overdo the feeling of that. Just feel like it's really, really into out. And just hit a few shots. I play it back here. Here. Pick the club up. See, I'm getting that roll over release there. And for anybody. Now, it's going to be hard for people that have had open stances and been across the line players and hit pull cuts and that type of thing. That's going to be difficult for you. It'll feel so different. Like being here when you hit it as opposed to even square is a profound difference in feel. But I promise you guys, if you hit some shots, you'll be really surprised, and particularly with the driver. When my driving goes off, it's because, and it very rarely goes off, but when it goes off and I'm not hitting it exactly how I want to off the face, is because I'm not hitting into out enough. I have to feel like I'm hitting profoundly into out. And of course, when I take the club back, guys, I don't take it back like normally. Most people will cock the club up. I don't. I hinge the club up. So I've got the club going back like this here, and then I fire it in here. So I'm coming in with a closed club and I'm going to rotate it over here. There. Now, when you do that, guys, the ball can only do one thing. It hits that push draw. It can only do that. It can't do anything else, providing you rotate the release. If you came that far into out and you didn't release the club, the ball would go straight right. That's just path and face, guys. The ball is a victim of path and face. It's always that. So just hit a few drills where we're going to hit profoundly into out. Now that's a really hard, and we've got a really strong left to right wind here, but that's a slinging draw that's gone over that outer fence and come back in. So I've started that sort of 15 yards right and it's come back in. Okay guys, so they're just a couple of tips that I think can help all of us, no matter what type of golf swing we've got. And I use that into out, the profoundness of that into out early in my practice round. That's the one thing I want to get into my golf swing when I start at the start of the day with my golf swing. I want to say be really into out, JH. Now guys, it's just such a majestic golf shot. That's gone straight up there, gone down the fence and just peeled over and landed a couple of yards inside the fence. But I know it's going to do that. You know why? Because that geometry dictates that ball must do that. It can't do anything else. If my swing is into out and I've rotated the club face over like that, the ball must have that type of spin or that type of... There's no such thing as side spin on a ball. All balls have got backspin. When they say, oh, this is hook spin or that's like... Guys, the only thing that changes is the axis of the spin. The spin doesn't change, it's always backspin. So all we're doing is, if we're hitting that draw, we're just changing the axis. So the backspin's there, but we're changing the axis, and it's going like that. But we don't get side spin. If you had side spin on the ball, it'd just duck into the ground. So that's a bit of a myth. People say, I'll put side spin on the ball. You never put side spin. It's always got backspin, where we just change the axis of that spin. That's technical. You don't even need to know that. But guys, this is what I do when I start practicing. I get that lead shoulder in, it's cocked in there. I get this back here. There's another one of those shots, exactly the same as the other one. Just such a pretty shot. here. Now they're identical golf shots. Okay guys, so that's just what I call a video, a tips video. Just a couple of points that can help you. Just basic elementary stuff, path and face, balance factors, all that type of thing. Now the other people that lack a little bit of power, and this is just general overview stuff guys. For people that lack a little bit of power in a conventional golf swing, most people will come in here and they try and speed their arms up and get a late release by holding the release without, rather than the release being held. Now the way the release gets held guys is the rotation will hold the release off for you. You don't want to come in here and just hold it like that and stall the body up. You want to get in here and get the hips going and get this lead side, what I call jacking up. As it comes in here, it jacks up, it turns, and then it goes that far, and then the leg turns, and we get that jacking up effect, and that gives you that delayed effect in the release. Now I don't get a lot of super because I'm an early releaser. I don't like to hang on to it, but for someone that wants to get more release in it, just get that lead side really getting out of the way with a hinge. See, I'm out of the way here guys. Look where I am here, look. That's just dead straight, but 2 yards of draw. But that's what I call a pirouette finish. I mean, I don't do that a lot in the golf swing. But we get in here, we're going to hit into out, and we're going to get that lead side really leading and standing up. See how I've straightened that lead leg? It's a good shot. Now that's what you do that's what you do in a conventional golf swing, guys. You can do it in any golf swing. It's an elementary fundamental of releasing the golf club. The rotation is what gets that release going. So here. Now those balls are all in the same place. Now that's a lot of hip release motion for me because I normally don't do that. I'm someone that's here, stays a little bit bent in that lead leg. But if you can come in here and just stand up a little bit, but as we stand up, we don't want to take the head up. We're going to stand up into our head, like that. If anything, the head is going to go down a little bit while the leg is straightening. Can't hit it better than that. Wow. That's a big high power draw. Really big high power draw. But a lot of release on that, guys. A lot of release. Oh, I'm warmed up after 4 or 5 shots. Come on, Jace. See how my shoulder's cocked here, guys? And I take the club back like this. I'm not cocking it, I'm actually hinging it like that. What's a hinge? That's a hinge. That's a cock. That's a hinge. I'm taking it back like that. Keeping the club face looking at the ball. Shut to shut for old terminology. Come on, Joe. Really get that hip out of the way. Now that's a lot of movement for me. That's a lot of movement for me. Come on, keep the shoulder into out. See how that right side gets very, very strong through the ball? It's not down and under, it's out and around. I'm trying to straighten that trail arm as quick as I can. That's another thing, guys. That lever there is the most powerful lever in the golf swing. If you can get here and just lever that trail arm down as hard as you can, that's where the power comes from. I'll just straighten that trail arm. See, that's really long. That's a big, hard, slinging power draw. Because I have a lot of I've actually got quite a lot of face turn down on that, so it's going to move a lot. I don't know if you could see the ball before. I might have been a bit close to the camera. Here we go. Come on, into out. Wow. That's really strong shot. Really strong shot. Got 5-iron here, guys. I basically always start off with a 5-iron. I hit mostly 5-irons and 4-irons when I practice. I'm not a short iron practicer. Okay, come on. Really into out. Hit it straight at that out of bounds fence. That's as good as old Jay's can hit. Look at this, guys. See how high that trail shoulder is? And I'm really trying to straighten my right arm. Now, one of the faults I have in my golf swing is I don't straighten my right arm because I've always had a really, suspect trail elbow. Motorcycle crashes when I used to race motorcycles and stuff, and my elbow is I really don't try and straighten it, but we really should be trying to just straighten it. And guys, it's as simple as this. We fold it, we straighten it. Just fold it, straighten it. Just do that. Just fold it and straighten it. That's what you really should do. Most club players tend to get this look about them. Yeah? That trail arm is bent here. Just take it, just fold it, straighten it. What could be simpler than that? Just fold that straight arm and straighten it. All right, we'll put some power into this. Gonna fold it, straighten it. Guys, with no exaggeration, that's 15 over the top of the others. Straight over the top. Just took pictures of those other golf balls as it went over. And that is just a total commitment to doing that. For do nothing else. Just straighten it and fold. But don't bend it and then straighten it like that. Just stay still. Straighten it, fold it. Fold it, straighten it. Just fold it, straighten it. They're perfect golf shots. JH's level of perfect. I'm no great ball striker, but that for me is a perfect golf shot. Couldn't hit it better than that. And how simple is that? What is that? Fold the right arm, straighten the right arm, but with a quiet body. Here. We don't want to straighten it like that. Now guys, I'll show you full power. I'll fold that arm and then straighten it like a hydraulic ram. Guys, the hang time on that golf ball is extraordinary. I mean, you can't believe how long that is in the air. For me. I think I said the other day, I was talking about how far I carry it. 5-iron, I think I said 170 metres, not 170 metres, 170 yards. 70 metres, 170 yards. And that's plenty for me at my age. I mean, if I get days where from here to that back fence down the day, from here is about 165 metres. Which is 177 yards. And these are just landing in front of that fence. So it's carrying about 172 yards with that good shot there. With a range ball. Okay, just fold and straighten. That's a really strong shot, guys. And that's just landed just a couple of yards from that fence, probably 5 yards from that fence. So it's carried about 170 yards. You know, I'm not a 200 carry 5-iron person. There are days when you can do that, but not when you're hitting, when there's conditions like this. Okay, just fold it and straighten it. Can't hit it better than that. Simple as.